Good Monday morning! I am MPJ and you are watching Fun Function. As some of you might know, I often record these episodes at the last minute on Sundays because I'm a horrible person. And sometimes that results in me being hungover, as I am today. So, on a scale from 1 to 5, my energy levels are as a result, we're just gonna do something nice and nice. And I'm just gonna answer questions on Twitter. Juliana Gomez asked, in light of recent Reddit thread regarding junior developer erasing entire database on first day, when have you messed up? What happened and what did you learn? What is this Reddit thread? Okay, so this post, it's a little story where a junior developer tells a story about how he destroyed the production database on the first day of his job, and what happened was that he was going through the setup instructions for his local dev environment, and in those instructions there's a step where you should generate the some fake data. You run a script and it generates fake data in your local database. However, due to a mix-up, there is the default sort of is the production credentials, and you're supposed to, in the instructions, to replace those credentials with your local database, but he didn't, and so he ran like the test generation script on the production database. When I read this, and I'm saying this from the perspective of working in at Spotify, which is one of the best software development houses in the world. I don't claim to be the best software developer in the world, but I have worked with the best, with people that do the best practices. And I read this, I was thinking that this person has not done anything wrong at all. However, the company that set this up certainly had. This is a completely messed up onboarding. It should absolutely not be possible to take out the production database in this way. That is just ludicrous. And then I continue reading and I see that this is not the only thing that is wrong in this company, because the CTO fires him over this. And the CTO also says that apparently legal would have to be involved due to the severity of the data loss. Wait, what? Even if he has just destroyed the database, they should just be able to restore that from a backup, because they have backups, right? I mean, there's going to be some orders lost during the downtime, but they should just be able to restore this. Of course, we're just seeing one part of the story here, but I can't see how this is not the fault of the CTO and the development organization. A junior developer should absolutely not be able to mess things up this easily. There should be backups in place. You should absolutely not have production credentials of any kind, even host names in the repository. I think that you should even view this as a lesson that you should not have these manual steps in your local development setup. You should just have a script that sets things up with the Docker containers and everything. And what I'm saying here is also basically what is said in the Reddit comments. That's the consensus. This is just not a very good CTO and not a very healthy organization. And I'm just sorry that this person got stuck with this horrible thing for their first job. I think that the mistake that this person should learn from this is not really really anything technical. I think that their mistake was not researching the employer that they started at enough, uh, because this is just not very good. This is horrible. But Juliana did not ask me for my opinion on that. Juliana asked me for when I have messed up and what happened and what did I learn. I've done a couple of interesting screw ups in my day. I've forced push to the central repository accidentally, and I've accidentally sent out these huge email things that filled up everyone's inbox. But the the most interesting mistake that I had was a couple of years ago when I was involved in this huge important project that was it was a company initiative, company-wide initiative, and everybody was very antsy around it. It felt like a lot of things were riding on it. It was also very late. It was one of those projects that had taken ages, to a large degree because it was so big. Like everybody had an opinion about it, and there were so many people involved, and it was just very tricky for everyone involved to get out the door. My motivation levels they were pretty low. Like not horrible, but it was it was taxing, this project. And it was one evening when we were close to the launch of the project. It was basically a sort of crunch mode, you could say. And a few weeks prior, I had committed to speak at an event that was held at the office. It was a JavaScript meetup, basically. Um, and people would arrive that evening, and I had no speech prepared. But that was really no problem because I was done with all my tasks related to the project. Like the segments that I was responsible for, I felt very comfortable with them. All the big issues were closed, and it was I felt good about my commitment to the project. Actually, I was ahead. So I sat down and started writing the script and started rehearsing the talk instead. And this was a great event. It was a great event to be seen at from a recruiting standpoint, and we were encouraged to go out and speak if possible, because that's how you recruit engineers. But the problem was that I didn't really understand how this looked in when seen in context. When everybody else is behind and working to get something out, and I go away and do something completely unrelated to the project that everybody is stressed out around, especially the product owner, uh, that seems that makes me an asshole. And the PO basically grabs me. He doesn't physically grab me. Geeks don't do that. But he took me aside and he like really ripped me a new one. It was brutal, and it turned into a big conflict, and my manager was involved. And during the coming weeks, it's always hard to tell how close you are to getting fired when you don't actually get fired. But I think I was pretty darn close there. It was a very infected period, and it was rough. In one of the dark moments of that period, I grabbed one of the more senior managers there, who was like boss of the entire business unit, and I basically asked him for his sagely advice on this topic, and he told me a story where there was a crunch that was occurring in the company at roughly the same time, and he was very frustrated that crunch occurred. Partially because he didn't agree that there should have been a crunch in the first place. That was bad, but what he was really disturbed about was that the crunch had occurred when he was elsewhere, like he was in another country, and it was not possible for him to be there on site. Because the way he saw it, when a team does a crunch, he like after they have committed to doing the crunch, he didn't agree with the crunch and like that it should have been there, but he didn't say that when the team was committed to doing it, because at that point it was important to support the team. So when a team does a crunch, you go there, you go in on the weekend and sit there with the team, even if you as an upper level manager can't do shit to help because you've long lost your ability to code or design or whatever you are. That's the task of the team. But you sit there and you just put your 2 pounds of flesh there, so to speak, by you sacrifice your time and you stand with them, you stand with the team. Perhaps you go shopping for cinnamon buns and make coffee for people. Well, yeah, like as that symbolic gesture showing that I am here, I'm standing here with you, that was very important to him. And the lesson to be learned there is that it's important to be aware of context. When working in a team, you need a certain peripheral vision. At that time, I wasn't really paying much attention to what was going on the team. I just looked at the roadmap and I decided, oh, I'm going to grab these tasks, and I'm going to make those my goal. That would be a good working week. Then I'm gonna do them, and then I'm done for the week. That's the way I saw projects at the time. It was kind of like my subconscious philosophy that if I performed well, like with my tasks, then all was good. So with 2020 hindsight, I should have been a lot more sensitive to the situation at hand. I should probably have cancelled that engagement completely, or I should have done it on my spare time. Normally, that kind of thing is perfectly fine to do on working hours, but given this context, it was not okay. Instead, I should have just put myself with the team and find if there was anything I could possibly have done to move further. Even if there wasn't anything that I could have done to help, it would still have been a very nice gesture from my part to offer and be there for other members of my team and for the project. And that evening, that screw up is probably the symbol of one of the most important lessons that I've learned as a software developer, and that is this peripheral thinking, this being context sensitive. Yeah, that's a lesson that I learned from a mistake. And that is it. I'm now going to go back to being hungover. I hope you enjoyed this tired musing this fine Sunday evening. Oh, and an outro. You have just watched an episode of Fun Function. I release these every Monday morning, 0800 GMT. You can subscribe there. Or if you don't want to wait until next Monday, you can check out this episode, which the Google Machine Learning Turtle has selected for you. I am MPJ. Until next Monday morning, stay curious.